Wow. It's the Halloween special. Talking about the Halloween special. And what could be more special than that?
Absolutely nothing.
I was just waiting for anything. Anything from you, yes?
I was letting you take the show.
Well, I mean, you know, why should this episode be any different than any other? So, we're dressed for Jack and Crack Witch Week.
Yes, we are.
And the most important thing to call out this episode of South Park, not one hint of a mention, nothing. No Jack and Crack Witch Week. There was neither
pissed.
Jack nor crack. A lot of weed, but no Jack, no crack.
It's extremely upsetting, Christian.
Because all year we've been talking about Jack and Crack Witch Week. We just can't wait till we get to the next one. I, of course, provided the crack for here in the studio. You got the Jack. We were ready to have it with the episode, but instead, all we could do is smoke tons and tons of weed.
But are you guys on crack, or are we using a green screen?
Oh, my God. Wait, let's see. Oh, look how crazy that is.
Spooky.
Oh, man.
I do love Tegridy Farms, though, so I am they did the second best thing that they could have done.
Yeah.
But nothing is better than Jack and Crack Witch Week, and what a mistake on their part not to use that. I feel like that's something
even if it's in the background. Like,
Yeah,
even if Randy's like, I don't have time for Jack and Crack Witch Week. You know, I'm a farmer now. Something, just some acknowledgement, but we didn't get that, and that was hugely disappointing. But let's talk about what we did like about the episode.
First, let me introduce you, Christian, and then
Please.
this is Christian.
And then I'll introduce you, Heidi.
Christian DMZ.
And this is Steph Sabra, our own resident Heidi, Wendy, Shelley, and Mrs. Cartman.
Tonight I am Shelley because
You are definitely Shelley.
I am the weed witch.
Oh no!
She has a weed problem.
Did you try to destroy all of my weed?
Yeah, I tried to burn it down.
Wow.
I tried to burn it down.
That wouldn't have the
Christian
result that
is
you
our
wanted.
resident Cartman.
That's true. Well, you know, but as we've talked about on the show before, as a parent, my spirit animal is, of course, Randy Marsh.
Yes,
because
it is.
every time you see him parenting, you just can't help but think, God, if only I could be as good of a dad as that. You know, if only I could put my teenage daughter in
Agreed.
jail for the night because she has a weed problem.
Yeah.
Her problem being that she hates marijuana. So, I don't know. So, that's us. Hi to all of you. And before you ask, no, you're not going to get to see the episode with this link. Go to South Park Studios. Or stay tuned for news and gossip when you might find another place that you'll be able to find South Park. But let's talk about, for you, pun intended, the highs for this episode.
Okay, the highs, Tegridy Farms, Randy. I thought Randy and Towley killed it, and I think that they're putting the entire season on their back, all season.
Yeah.
And I think that Shelley was definitely a high point. We don't usually get to see a lot of Shelley, but we did in this episode, and I'm totally here for it because she probably provided the funniest parts of the episode. And I liked the mummy, and then I didn't.
So I think the mummy at first is really funny because the mummy shows up and Butters is like terrified. Like, oh my God, it's a mummy. And then it's like, oh, he wants to give me a hug. And he has a gift for me. Oh, but I already have a Fitbit. And then he gets mad. And so through the point where the cops show up and they're obviously playing it up like, well, I think maybe you have the problem. And he's like clearly in that relationship that, you know, we all have that friend where it's like, why are you still with him or her? And all of his friends are trying to tell him, like, yeah, don't you talk about the mummy a little too much? So I thought it was still funny through that point.
But I couldn't tell what point they were trying to get at because in this episode, the villains, so to speak, were Shelley and Butters. And
yeah, I mean, depending on your perspective, it could also be the mummy.
No,
but
I don't
really,
think he was. I think society told him he was.
At the end, you take the realization that, no, Butters, it was you. But I think throughout the episode, at least in the early part of the episode, we're supposed to think like, oh, he's cursed, it's a mummy. And even when they're fighting, it's like, oh, so Butters spurned the mummy.
No, I feel like everyone thought that Butters was selfish and narcissistic. And he said it in prison. And I love how they both ended up in prison. But I don't know exactly. Usually I can tell what point they're trying to make. I don't know. They had a call to... They talked about the cops a little bit this episode. And I don't know if it's that we put the wrong we villainized the wrong people in society, or if that was just, let's just use these two characters.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think it's a little bit of the first part where, we have the police show up at Tegridy Farms, and then they realize, like, there's nothing here, just a couple of really high people, and then there is a really funny throwaway line, but it being South Park, it's always bigger than it seems, and you hear the one cop like, oh, we don't get to shoot anybody.
So bad.
And I think that it's very funny, sort of the way that they address this idea that Randy, for all of his happy-go-lucky, carefree Randy that he is, the fact that the way he hallucinated and the things that he saw, and by the way, that Towley was right there with him, I think that tells you that it's somewhere in that head, I think there might actually be just a shred of a conscience. It's like a 1/1000th of a Jiminy Cricket on his shoulder. That's like, but I thought it was great because you and I, we watched it together before the show, which we usually don't get the chance to. And we watched it together, and when we saw Winnie the Pooh,
I loved it. That was another highlight. They did a great job of doing the callbacks of all the shitstorm Randy has caused
from this season.
The entire season. We got Winnie the Pooh. We got all the cows that they just decided to shoot dead. We got a call to Harvey Weinstein, who has reappeared in the news, unfortunately, which I think they're making a play on that. So Randy's storyline was awesome.
Right, and I thought that it was also, I mean, Winnie the Pooh, they had some great moments because he's like, oh, I'm really looking forward to eating your brains, and the whole army of cows and all that. Yeah, I think, look, I don't know. I think at this point it's tough to do a bad Randy story.
Yeah, I agree.
The Shelley part of it was kind of funny, and I guess look, Shelley had some good points. You were talking about how you're the buzzkill on weed, but, I mean, she's just like, weed is making people stupider. I think it would be better if it was illegal again. I mean, look, we live in a state where it's legal here in California. And
that's so funny.
I mean, I was already stupid enough without it, so I should stay away because I can't afford to get any dumber. That's really my lesson to myself.
I do love that Matt and Trey have, I think, pretty explicitly told us in this episode they are Randy. And when Randy said, I'm the prime audience. I'm the only one.
Oh, that was great.
That, I feel like, is them being like, listen, we're not making these jokes for you anymore. If you guys don't like it, we're still going to be on the air. If we find it funny, we're making it.
Yeah, I mean, I thought that was great when Randy asked the family, it's like, so did everybody enjoy the Halloween special? And the actual answer from Sharon was, no, Randy, only you did. And he's like, well, that's my target audience anyway. And just to sort of jump ahead to the ending, then there's well, at least I didn't have butt sex with Harvey Weinstein. And then he's like, or did I? I was not expecting, one, for him to find the used condom, and I still don't understand why he threw it on the wall. I think probably so that people like us go, what the
Yeah, I think that was Randy? Them being like, we can be spooky and gross.
I mean, I don't know that was spooky. I think that was just gross. But what did you think about that ending, Steph?
It's hard to find anything with Harvey Weinstein funny, but if they're going to do it, I guess the way they did it is pretty...
Well, the way that they brought him up, that Randy is seeing all these monsters. Yes. And that was one of the monsters.
Agreed.
And he's like, oh, he's inside me. So, I mean, it was very funny. And we don't actually see him at any point. So just the implication. But I don't know. I don't get offended. I don't get upset. I was surprised that they ended the episode with Randy throwing the used condom on the wall.
Disgusting.
And but
here for it, but disgusting.
Yeah. Look, we're not turning our backs on South Park. We're not turning our backs on Randy. We love Randy.
You know who else we love?
Who do we love?
our viewers.
Oh my gosh, we
Even
sure do.
the ones who think that they're watching the actual South Park episode. We do love you guys.
Yeah.
You guys make us the ESPN of TV talk. One way we would love your support is if you hit that thumbs up, leave us a comment after this video. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, give us a 5-star review and rating, or 5-star rating, and then leave us a review. We love to keep the conversation going because there's so much stuff to talk about South Park. It never ends.
It never ends, and last week it was a rerun, and this week we're doing the show on Wednesday night after the episode instead of our usual Thursday afternoon, because I'm pretending that I'm taking my kids trick-or-treating, but really I just want to go out and get a lot of candy, and then
You're
my
gonna
kids are an
sell
excuse.
weed like Randy.
Look, the Halloween special is out there, and as anybody who watches this show week in, week out knows, I got Tegridy. And I want to share Tegridy with everybody else that's out there.
I think you should invest in it.
Well, we're doing that tonight, and so hopefully next Thursday, maybe we'll be able to get our friend Steven back, and we'll finally be able to do our taste test for the what was it, the Impossible Whopper.
Oh,
we promised that a couple weeks ago.
we did.
And tonight was not the time to do it, but maybe
Yes.
we'll be able to do it next Thursday.
Yeah.
But we'll find out at some point. Anyway, so let's figure out some other aspects of the episode. We talked a little bit about Butters, and the lesson to be learned is sometimes you're the asshole.
Sometimes you can't be helped.
Yeah.
And the other person should leave you.
Right. No, they clearly didn't belong
lesson.
together, and it was so dumb. But I just like that he put on his sunglasses and drove away in his sports car, and then the cop just translates the hieroglyphics that he had left for him. But it was just stupid.
I love this episode did a good job of every time I thought it was going to go one way, it went a different way. So even the whole curse I thought was going to go in an evil way, but it was actually like a romantic
That was
way.
very funny that they set up the curse, and the guy at the museum is like, well, it looks like it's going to be a bad night for someone, And you figure like, okay, it's like anything where there's a curse or whatever, but the curse is really just that the mummy is totally into you.
Yeah, and but I was kind of disappointed because I usually love a butter-centric episode.
True.
I'm here for it, but this one just seemed like his storyline was just whatever to me.
Yeah. I mean, I think that the Tegridy story was definitely much stronger.
I think when they're in the writer's room, I would be game for it. I'd be like, oh, yeah, a curse, and then it becomes a weird kind of unhealthy relationship. I'm here for it. But maybe it was the lack of execution in writing, or maybe it was just that should have been a shorter bit instead of half of the episode.
Yeah, I agree. I think that, there's so much more to have done. But that's what we got, and we did get a lot of, you referenced it earlier, and we've talked about it a few times this season. I think that this might actually be the all-star season for Towley.
Yeah.
I mean, he's getting so much to do.
He's
He's getting so high.
I love him.
Oh, my gosh.
I love him. I love Towley.
Yeah.
And we missed him a few seasons, I feel like.
He really hadn't been around much.
Now we're getting him.
He hadn't been around much. And really, Shelley hasn't had much dialogue for...
Ever. Literally ever.
The first couple seasons, she was on a little bit more. Just a little bit.
Kind of.
But
Kenny talks more.
Yeah, there was a good Kenny joke.
there was.
Let's talk about PC Principal.
Oh my gosh, this was one of my highlights. I can't
Yeah.
believe me and SJW forgot to mention this. I love PC
Don't
Principal.
get upset, PC babies. We're talking about it now.
PC Principal in this episode. I'm telling everyone far and wide. If I see a Native American headdress, a sombrero, or some other racist BS that you want to call a Halloween costume, I will lose my shit like him. I really will. I love that.
I thought that was great. That I also was like, if any of you girls dress up like Moana, I thought that was very funny. Because the PC Principal doesn't.
He's not here to
doesn't
play.
take that lightly.
As he's cussing at people and being pretty inappropriate. I get that. I catch the irony.
No. But it is very funny that it's like, he's just walking. He's like pacing back and forth. And yeah, I mean, look, I think that a lot of times people decide that they can take some liberties on Halloween. And, as time goes by, people are more and more afraid of things. But here's the thing. If you were to go to a party in blackface, you still might get to become the Prime Minister of Canada. So just keep that in mind.
That would have been a good little bit for them to add.
Yeah, that it's like, unless you want to become Prime Minister of Canada.
Yeah.
But I think that PC Principal is a character that I think sometimes we start to feel like maybe we're getting away from him, especially... who was his girlfriend that he wouldn't admit he was involved with? What was her
Strong
name?
Woman.
Strong Woman.
Of course.
Yeah. So,
put some respect on
and of
her
course
name,
the PC babies have been referenced, but we haven't actually seen them yet this season. So I hope we get it. But I thought that was a very strong moment. But if you're watching either live or in the archive version, tell us, have you ever seen some wildly inappropriate Halloween costumes? I'll tell you one. When I was in high school, and I'm old, so this was, this would have been Halloween 1993. Small town.
The year I was born.
Yeah, I know. I get it. That's great. That's awesome. So this story is this old.
Don't uncap me.
And I'm sorry that I touched your shoulders. I will fill out all the paperwork apologizing for it. As a strong woman, you should know better. So anyway, so I went to I'm from a small town. My high school was really small. It was 2 towns put together. My graduating class was 63 people. That's 2 towns put together. So I guess this one kid thought that he could come to school in blackface. And even in 1994, he got sent home. Oh,
that's relieving to hear.
Yeah, I think that's probably because it was upstate New York and not maybe somewhere else on the map. But, I think that he probably felt like he was going to be able to get away with it because of the fact that just legitimately there was one black family in my town. So I guess he felt like he's like, well, who am I going to offend? But so even back then, we knew better than Justin Trudeau is the reason I tell that story.
Oh my God! Wow, what a punchline!
I just brought it back around.
Wow. All right.
Anyway, let's try and figure out if there's any other high points while you give us the news and gossip. And I'm going to duck down here to hide.
Leave. Oh my God. Okay, you guys, really exciting news, kind of. You might be upset, you might like it, depending on which way you're going with the streaming wars. It's been an ongoing thing. Everyone wants their own piece of consumerism, so to speak. So HBO Max has officially sealed the deal with our friends at South Park. They are getting all 23 seasons plus 3 more seasons. They say the deal's anywhere from $500 to $550 million. What the heck? Are you doing HBO Max or not?
No, I don't. I'm not interested. I don't care.
So you're gonna watch it live on with cable?
Well, yeah. I mean, I'll just watch it on cable. And also, I wonder what this means for the South Park Studios website, where it also is available. So this would take away from the Hulu deal. Clearly.
Yes, because Hulu is a branch of Disney.
Yeah, so this is going to supersede that, but are they still going to be available on South Park Studios? If I'm paying $500 million, and maybe I will.
Hell no.
I would say, hey, you're not going to give them away on your website
anymore. It's exclusive.
You're going to make people. Yeah, you're going to make people have to come to our site. So I mean, I'll just watch it. You know what? And again, going back to the fact that I'm old, I actually have probably the first 12 seasons on DVD.
The best seasons.
Yeah, and here's the thing: they're getting all those episodes, but are they going to have the ones with Muhammad in it? I bet they're not. There's like 3 or 4 of them that aren't.
Touché.
There's a few of them that aren't on Hulu, and I bet that HBO Max isn't going to get them either. But those episodes are on DVD.
Yeah, that's a great point.
So yeah. Shout out to old media. That's all right. Physical form. But
I do think it's a smart move by HBO Max because it's a whole different demographic. I think a lot of the streaming services are forgetting about. We're really focused on superheroes and sci-fi right now because that's what's doing well in fantasy, like Game of Thrones, Marvel, DC. All those properties are what's killing it. But people are forgetting about comedies and comedies like this, which have an extremely loyal and unwavering fan base.
Yeah, and I think that, look, having something like South Park is great because not everybody's like us. Not everybody has kept up with all 21 seasons. There's plenty of people that are like, oh my God, I haven't watched it in 5 or 10 years. And I'm like, oh, it's still great. You know, there are some in-between seasons that aren't my favorite, but even those seasons had good episodes and a few great
Still
ones.
better than most comedy series.
Exactly. And I think that, if you were to go and rediscover some of those, you would really enjoy it. So, I don't know. I can understand somebody wanting to have it, but, I mean, look, Disney Plus has got my money. And I don't know who else is going to get my money.
Yeah, Disney Plus, take all my money.
They've got
even
my
though
money.
You're reasonably priced.
They're reasonably priced. And I prepaid for 3 years, so now I don't have to think about it again.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
That's smart.
All right. I'm not giving you my login, so just stop asking.
I'll steal it.
Yeah, you probably will. My password is Steph sucks. But anyway, but with an X, so it's like the fun way.
Yeah.
So let me pick one favorite joke. It was from a scene we were talking about earlier with PC Principal. When he's saying all the things you can't be, he also says no hobos, no bums, nobody dressed as any kind of lower income person. Cartman has such a great line. Well, no Halloween for you, Kenny. And it's just like the Kenny is poor jokes. I never get tired of them. And I would say, growing up, I was probably closest to Kenny of all these kids, but it still makes me laugh. So, I don't know. I just wanted to read that into the record.
I think that's a great one.
Anything else that stands out before we say goodbye?
I'm glad they did a Halloween special. It would have been an absolute shame if they didn't.
It would have been more special if there had been some Jack and Crack.
Yes. Did they execute it the way I wanted? No, but I'm happy there was a Halloween special. It's a missed opportunity seeing as that Halloween is literally tomorrow, but whatever.
Yeah.
It's still a great episode.
And where some people are watching, it's Halloween now.
I just wanted Jack and Crack. Like, we've been planning Jack and Crack Witch Week since last year.
I don't know. We might just have to do Jack and Crack for the season finale.
If you see us in the news, you know what happened.
You know exactly
That's all
what
I'm
happened.
saying.
Well, that's all the time we have for now. We should be back next week on Thursday afternoon, so keep an eye out for us there. But if you want to keep in touch, Steph, where do people find you?
I'm Steph Sabra. You can find me on Instagram and Twitter at Steph Sabra. Stay spooky, you witches.
And you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at ChristianDMZ. And this Friday, my personal podcast, The Blackcast, is celebrating our 350th episode.
No way.
With a live stream on YouTube from right here at AfterBuzz TV. Maybe
Home of the brave.
I'll see if I can grab Steph and get her in for a few minutes. But
if you give me your
promises.
HBO Max and Disney Plus.
Well, I'm not going to have an HBO Max, but I'll give you my HBO Go.
Okay.
Anyway, that's all the time we have for now. Stay witchy!
Our founder, Kevin Undergaro, and me, Maria Menounos, would like to thank you for tuning in to AfterBuzz TV. Remember, we're not just the first, we're the biggest in the world, and we're the only destination for all your favorite TV shows. Whatever you crave, we've got it. So go to AfterBuzzTV.com and check out our lineup. Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.